Hello everybody and welcome to Project Trade. This is the trading highlights show, all of the exciting instances from our testing of trading strategies. Today we're on a predominantly technical indicator based strategy, but there certainly is a big touch of price structure in the mix too. And it's a reversal strategy that we're targeting, looking for when price momentum has exhausted itself to see if we can snag onto a return in price. There's plenty of reversal indicators out there. This particular strategy is starring the Williams percent range from Larry Williams. It's a momentum based single line oscillator which looks like this, and it's range bound with the highest possible reading fixed at 0 and the lowest possible reading fixed at -100. The indicator formula looks at the high and low of prices within the given look back input and compares those to the current closing price to see if price is overstretched in one particular direction. For us, we'll be using the typical default of a 14 period input, as you can see in our settings. We've also got an upper level and lower level marked out to try and consistently determine when price is overbought or oversold. Typically, the levels are set by default at above -20 for overbought and below -80 for oversold. But we want a bit more reliability than that, so we're putting ours all the way at above -5 for overbought and below -95 for oversold. If you want more information on the indicator itself, video link description. But here, let's get to our entry criteria, which we're keeping pretty basic. When the Williams percent range value first moves and closes above -5, we'll assume the market to be overbought and enter a sell trade. And if price closes below -95 on the WPR, that's a signal to us that the market is oversold and we will therefore enter a buy trade. And that's it. Nothing much fancy to how we're entering the trade store, not even a filter to worry about. Here's a couple examples on a standard looking price chart that we could expect to see in the markets. That's our sell signal from the oscillator over there on the left hand side, with our buy signal coming over on the right when it first closes in the oversold territory. So simple that you might even be able to train a rat to do it. Well, they are pretty smart rodents, man. Yeah, the pigeons of the ground. That's why they call them that. We don't want to rely on the Williams percent range for everything though, and to help us with that, we can put a key part of our strategy into the money management. This is where that mix of price structure steps into the strategy. We're going to use Bill Williams' Fractals indicator. No relation to Larry? I don't think. I suppose they could be, but Williams certainly isn't the rarest name on Wall Street. Anyway, relations or no, that bears minimal relevance to our strategy or our money management. Here's what the fractals look like, and they'll be highlighted on the chart with the blue shapes that look a little like those. They are a pattern where the highest high or lowest low of price is in the center of the 5 candles. So on the left with our bearish fractal, the highest high has 2 lower highs on both its left and right sides. And then just reverse that for a bullish fractal. That has the lowest low in price in the center of the 2 higher lows, again on either side of it. Video in the description on fractals for more info. But here's what they're actually looking like on a price chart. If you've never seen them before, then it may have sounded like the patterns are quite rare to occur, but you can tell from the chart that that is not the case. They do tend to make regular appearances. This is not a special scenario that we're showing you. We're going to use the fractals like this. If we're in a buy trade from the Williams percent range showing as oversold, then we're going to exit the trade at the close of the formation of a bullish fractal. Remember, the fractals need 2 candles after where the blue arrow will be before they cement themselves as true. It means that for us, hopefully the oversold signal coincides with the spot where the fractal arrow will end up being. We are essentially trying to foreguess where the fractal is going to be. So with a sell trade, we're going to exit it at the close of a bearish fractal. If the strategy nails the timing correctly, then we shouldn't end up in trades for too many periods. We're attempting to get in and out with quick profits. No stop loss or take profit in play at all. We're riding in fully on the fractals. That's a lot of faith to have in them for sure. But here's a couple examples of how we could expect to get out, just to show you what we mean. So this is where we'll be entering a sell trade right at the peak there where the WPR closed above a reading of -5, and we're exiting it at the closed formation of a bearish fractal, which we've circled here with another arrow pointing us to where in price we'd be shutting it down, as that's when the fractal forms. Pretty quickly out, but as you can see, we were able to catch some fast profits. Here instead, a buy trade on the same price chart. Entry point here where the Williams percent range is oversold, and we close the trade at the formation of the next bullish fractal, which is here. Interesting candle, by the way, way getting both a bullish and a bearish fractal from the same period, but there we go. It's a bullish fractal to us nonetheless. Not so many profits from this one. Remember, the arrow is pointing from the fractal, not from our entry price. It does look like we would lose a small amount from the spread of the trade on this one, as we do get in and out at a very similar price level. But those are the types of trades that we can expect as well to get. It's not going to be profits on every single trade. I wish. We still need to know how much we're actually going to risk on the trade though. And to do that, when we're entering a trade, we'll measure out the distance to the extreme point of the previous relevant fractal. So if we're going to enter a buy trade from an oversold signal, we'll measure out the distance in pips to the top of the last bearish fractal. Then opposites for a sell trade will gauge the distance from our trade entry position to the bottom of the last bullish fractal. However far that measurement is for either buy or sell trades respectively will be a risk reward amount of 1% of our capital. We don't want to go nuts on it just in case it does get out of hand without a stop loss. With our previous sell and buy trade examples, I've marked those arrows to show the distance that would be a risk measure of 1% of our money. Again, for that sell trade on the left, it's to the bottom of the previous bullish fractal, and for the buy trade on the right of the two, it's measured to the high of the previous bearish fractal. Should keep our capital safe at least. Now, even when the Williams percent range is up above -5 or down below -95, we still can't fully rely on it to get the entry spot on every time, but it's usually very close even if it's not quite there. So something we're going to do is that if the indicator stays in its overbought or oversold territory for 2 periods, then we will enter another trade in the same direction and with the same amount of risk as the first trade. That means if, say, we enter a buy trade at the close of period 0, then at the close of period 2, if the Williams percent range has remained closed in the oversold zone for those 2 periods, we'll enter that extra trade, doubling down on our belief in the return. And we'll do it for as long as it continues. We'll enter with the same risk at the close of period 4, period 6, period 8. Well, the list just goes on like this. I think they get the pattern. I'm not going to 1,000. That rule applies the same for if the Williams percent range leaves its overbought or oversold region, but then re-enters it and closes there again whilst we're still in our initial trade. It'll be another trade for us, same risk and same direction again. As long as we keep entering trades, we'll eventually be right about one of them. We're going to stick it on the 5-minute time frame, aiming to get a few trades out of it, join in with the scalpers. But those extreme readings of the Williams percent range don't come all the time every period. So we're going to double our chances for trades and get onto 2 currency pairs. It'll be the world's 4 biggest currencies in play as we trade on the Euro US dollar pair and the Great British Pound Japanese Yen pair, the guppy. And of course, we'll journal the trades for fair and accurate strategy assessment. Gotta maintain a record. But that's it. If I didn't explain the strategy very well, don't worry. We're going to get on the charts and trade it right now. Okay. Here we are in the charts. Got our 2 currency pairs pulled up. Euro US dollar on the left, Great British Pound Japanese Yen on the right. It is almost 5 to 11, and we can see just a couple periods ago on the Euro US dollar, the Williams percent range did close in an overbought value, -4.07. This candle here was the close. So if you got in around about there, it was looking good for you on the next candle. Not sure how that's going to finish yet. If price pushes up, this fractal here won't form. Meanwhile, the Great British Pound Japanese Yen, that does look as though it's going to go into a signal here. It's overbought right now, 96, 95, hovering there, might not close, but there's a minute until the end of the candle. So let's prepare ourselves for that in case we get the signal. So we're measuring to the top of the previous bearish fractal. It's actually quite tight, it's about 23 pips there. So it'll be at 1% risk to that area up there. Not going to be exact because of how price moves, but we do get the close here. So let's get into that buy trade. You can see exactly how that risk is calculated. And now we wait for the formation of the fractal. Looks like on the Euro US dollar you would have got the close, and because of the spread you would have lost a small amount. So not the best trade. Had looked promising off that move, but doesn't quite get there. Don't mind missing that one. We may get a sell trade. If this continues here, RSI, well, it's flirting around -5. The trade's looking okay. Couple dollars up at the moment. Don't need to set the take profit or stop loss. We are just looking for that next fractal to form, or the next bullish fractal I should say. We will have a look at the economic calendar in a minute, see what events we've got on today, if we can expect anything shaky. But first, let's just give it a couple minutes until 11 o'clock, see if this signal comes on the Euro US dollar, because if it does, we better get in the sell trade. And it does look almost certain that we're going to get this signal. Let's measure out that risk there, 9 pips, so quite a big amount of lots on this one. 0.63 is the number. Let's start off before it drops too much without us. Don't usually expect to get 2 trades like that right off the bat. Only been on the charts 5 or 10 minutes. You can see by the Williams percentage range how often it goes into that territory. It does happen, but we're really getting into that morning volatility. Don't want to see this climb now, want to see the retreat. And we are going to get the close of the fractal straight off the bat here for the Great British Pound, Japanese Yen. And let's close that as it confirms, and it does. And that turned out pretty nice. It went to a high, then receded back, pushed on though. It might continue to push, but we've made away with the loot there. $40.52 start the day. A very nice trade. Let's just hope our Euro US dollar pair can do the same. Not looking so good at the moment. Did push on a bit. Didn't stay in the overbought territory because of how much it receded from the high. And we might see that continue. Just means our bearish fractal may appear up here instead. See if we can grab a look at the economic calendar while these charts crack on. A few bits and pieces happened already. We had Japanese retail sales month on month. That came in at actual 1.1% against a forecast of negative 1.6. Not too bad at 1.1, certainly beating out the forecast. The previous was 2.8, that was revised up from 2.7. But still, they'll be happy not to see the decrease there, and it does put their year-on-year retail sales at 0.9% against a 1.3% forecast. From Europe, in the Eurozone, Spain, CPI month on month, they've been struggling a bit with that. They had 1.6 previous. They were forecast another 1.3%, but it came in at 0.4%. Really nice for them to see that lessened. 0.9% less than the forecast. They could definitely do with that. 10:30, just about 35 minutes ago, we had a couple Swedish numbers. The goods trade balance came in a little bit better than expected. 0.8 billion Swedish krona against negative 2 billion forecast. And the GDP quarterly was up as well. 2% actual against a 1.8% forecast and a 1.8% previous. Not too bad, Sweden. Not too bad. But at 11 o'clock, just under 10 minutes ago, look at this number that's come in. PPI from Italy, Producers Price Index, month on month, 7.1%. 7.1, and that was against a forecast of 1.6 and a previous of 1.6, so it was already forecast to be pretty big. You get 7.1 every month, you're in big trouble. Even getting it 1 month, that doesn't look good. And if those PPI numbers do flood through to the CPI, that is not something that they want, especially when you think their interest rates controlled by the ECB. And Christine Lagarde, the president, has basically said no rate increases for 2022. Seeing some of these PPI numbers come in though. I think we saw a 3.8 for Germany in the last week or two. Or we will be able to see their CPI numbers though. They're coming in today as well, month on month, 3 p.m. So it's still a little bit away, but we'll watch out for that. And then half an hour after that, Canadian numbers. Current account, pretty standard. Industrial Product Price Index, the IPPI month on month, as well as the Raw Materials Price Index month on month. Those be interesting. Forecast to be quite low, 0.3 and 0.1% respectively. And then we do have some US dollar numbers as well. Shouldn't have too much of a major impact, but pending home sales month on month, those come through at 5 o'clock. Forecast -3 with a previous of 2.3. And then it fades off into the evening with plenty of speeches. The big ones there, you've got Christine Lagarde 7:15 and Fed Chair Powell 10:05. Those two have the potential to move markets. I don't know if we'll still be on by then. We know that in the afternoon, between 3 and about 5:30, 6 o'clock, that's the peak volume time. But there isn't really any events when our four currencies going to have a big sway over their price movement, I would say at least. Could be a wild card out there. This is Monday and we had a very volatile day on Friday. So there is potential for news to come out of the blue from a politician and potentially snap us in or out of a trade. That's all the key stuff though. And speaking of trades, let's see how our Euro US dollar is getting on. It is in a bit of a loss and the fractal is going to form as well. It went to such a high, so we really could do with seeing price come down a bit. Got a minute until that close. So that signal's not going to come. It has backed away, but we can close our Euro US dollar trade. We see the bearish fractal form, so we get out of the way. But this was a very high bearish fractal. Price looking like it's going to move on though, so maybe glad we got out of that. Could still get this pound yen signal in the next 5 minutes or so. Didn't come last period after it moved off that high. But if it pushes again, Williams percent range floating around 5 again. Also could get the Euro US dollar go back in. That's very close as well. Got to be prepared for trades on both of these. And this signal does look like it's coming on the Euro US dollar again. Needs to back off from that high to not get it. Let's measure out that risk from the bottom of the bullish fractal. 22 pips, quite an improvement on last time. And we do get the signal. Here we go, 0.26 loss. Let's sell off the market right at the top there. Already saw a bit of a shunt down. I said the pip distance from the last bullish fractal was an improvement because it was bigger. Don't necessarily know if improvement was the best word, but it's certainly quite a bit bigger. Just means less risk for us. So I've just seen an overbought signal actually did come about 30 seconds ago. We are going to take that one. Let's measure it out quick. We're going to the last fractal down here. That's 43 pips. So let's do that calculation here, and it is 0.15 lots. Let's jump into that trade before we miss the train. They sneak up on you, take your eye off the ball for about 20 seconds, and the signal comes. Very fast moving this morning. 2 trades on each pair in the first half an hour. Hopefully this is a resistance level which price bounces off of. And it does look like we're going to get the close of this bearish fractal on the Euro US dollar pair. There it is, so we can close that off, and we do. It's for a small win, $8.84. If that was on the old volume, which is about twice as amount, more than twice amount, be around about 20 bucks, but we are happy anyway to get a winning trade out of it again. 17.86 up for the day, 45 minutes in, and we've still got this pound yen trade going. We see the bullish fractal up here, might well close there in 4 and a bit minutes. And we are getting that close of the bullish fractal here on the pound Japanese yen. So let's close off the trade. There it is. Again, another small win, another sharp in and out trade. This is exactly what we're looking for with this. Those snap reversals. We're about moving in, getting the start of a reversal, but also allowing us to get retracements as well. So this pound yen, it could move on now, and we're already gone. $7.14 from that one. Again, quite a bit lower volume. We had 0.15 for this one because of the distance that it was from there to there, as opposed to this one we had 0.28 because we were only measuring this sort of distance. A win's a win there, and we're happy to take them. $25 up for the day now. There's potential here for another sell signal on the Euro US dollar. The last couple of periods it's bounced back. The RSI has been above -5. Measure out to that same bullish fractal again just in case. Call it 23 pips, but the signal does not come. Coming at 12:30 now, and it does look so we are going to get a sell signal on the Euro US dollar if it holds out. It's about 9 pips we're going to call the risk measure. We do get the signal, so here we go. We're going to sell off the market. Back to the bigger volume, 0.63 standard loss. Now let's wait for that bearish fractal to form. 10 minutes into the trade, and we could be about ready to deploy our secret weapon. We've seen both 5-minute periods since we've entered. Williams percent range has stayed in the overbought territory. Just got to wait for that close in 5 seconds time. If it confirms it here, we'll be adding another risk to our trade. It does get there, so we sell it off. Usually with this type of move, we would have liked both candles to be like this. We did see a little bit of a red one there. Williams percent range was -4.76 and then -4.61 the period after. Now we got 2 on the Euro US dollar. If we get another 2 periods of overbought, well, we'll do the same again. In the thick of the action again, 5-1 is approaching, and we are about to be closing off this Euro US dollar trade. Does look very nice at the moment. 10 seconds to go. As long as it doesn't pounce on us, we are going to be good. But we're also getting a sell signal over here on the pound Japanese yen. That does look like it's going to come. So here we go. There's the close. We get the bearish fractal. Let's shut down those trades. Then let's go over to our pound yen. Open up a new order. You can see the risk on screen, of course. And this time, let's sell it off over here. That was the distance we measured out there from the previous bullish fractal. So 19 pips, not too shabby. But a very nice trade on the Euro US dollar we just had. $15.75 from the first one we entered. And then when we doubled down on it, $34.02 from that one. Really nice, so puts us into a good profit for the day as we see the pound yen is cracking on. If we see 2 green candles, we'll be doubling down on that risk. Still, on the whole, things looking okay at the moment. We're very close at the moment as to whether we add another risk on this pound yen trade. The Williams percent range left the -5 zone, the overbought territory. Looked like it was going to re-enter it, but no, it doesn't in the end, so no extra risk for us just yet. The trade's not going that well for us at the moment. They're around about $20-25 down. No sign of a bearish fractal yet. And we are going to get the signal now, though, with a big push on the pound. Williams percent range has re-entered that overbought territory. We haven't seen a bearish fractal yet, so we double down on the risk. Does look a bit shaky at the moment, though. $50 down between the trades. Even though price hasn't really moved much at all, it's about the same position it was before. We are seeing that we do take another sell trade here. That was 2 periods in the overbought territory since we entered that trade. Whoops, accidentally entered that on the Euro US dollar one. Let's cancel that one and try again over here. Oh man, booking a loss on the Euro US dollar there. What was that? $3.40. Sloppy stuff there, not checking the chart. But yeah, so you can see here, Williams percent range, 3.26. And then 3.41, so that's when we get in. Even a small red candle was going to see it out there. What a swing we've just seen on this candle right now. Price was down here and we had a bearish fractal ready to form. It was looking like we were going to finish quite nicely in profit on 2 of the trades and a small loss on the other. But that booming candle right there has pushed price up. And if it closes like that, we'll be adding another risk to the trade. Not going to get the extra added risk here. Back towards our entry price for these two trades. It'll be at least 2 candles for a fractal form, so with potentially this being the highest high. But if we see price go up, it'll be even longer. And we are about to get the close of this bearish fractal here, just a couple seconds, so let's get ready to shut down these trades. There we go. And we did actually end up in profit on that one. From the two winners, $36.86 gained, and from the loss, $28.47. Although I'm also going to factor in this unforced $3.40 error. So when we put our 3 trades and the error we made together, it's $4.99 profit. Not too bad at all, right? Did look shaky there. You can see that candle ended up making both a bullish and a bearish fractal. But to be able to take money from that, pretty good. If we hadn't been doubling down and tripling down on our trade, it would have just been a loss of $28.47. And we are sneaking in with a signal on the Euro US dollar, and this is so tight to the last bullish fractal. Not a fan of this signal, but here we go. We'll call that 6 pips there, and we will get in with 0.96 lots. That is quite a lot on there. If we have to keep doubling down with this on a breakout, it is not going to look good. But here we go. We are in the Euro US dollar this time. Yeah, definitely hoping for a range. This has been creeping up ever so slowly. Look how many green candles have come. Even that red one there, not really much to speak of. And then this pushes it in. Let's not judge it until the trade's over though. No rest for the wicked here. Just coming up to 2 o'clock, and we are going to get a buy signal on the pound yen. And that's what we're on. Let's take that signal. Measured out our risk from there. Probably a little low on the risk actually. Went for 30 pips and it was around here. Sure to be fine. Couple pieces of action coming up. First, as we go into 10 past 2, we are going to close down our Euro US dollar trade with the formation of a bearish fractal. And we also see that the Williams percent range recloses in the oversold territory over on the pound yen. So we are going to double down on our risk right here with another 0.22. This time we are on the pound yen. Got to make sure of that now. Don't want any more errors like that. $3.40. Can't be losing that kind of money. Here we go. And for anyone that missed it before, that Euro US dollar trade, that was $4.80. Not too much of a win. Could have been nicer, but we'll take what we can get, that's for sure. Quite a nice close on this Great British Pound Japanese Yen trade. Looked quite a bit nicer up at that high there, but we are certainly not going to complain at this. Let's get it shut down now, those sub trades. 31.38 and 37.58 from them. That is 68.96 total. Really nice trade. Puts us $153.52 up for the day. And it's another winner we get to plug in. And we are about to be going back in again. Yes, we are. 0.58 lots this time. Euro US dollar with the buy trade. Let's see if it pushes. The current candle run, it looks like it's the lower low. So to be at least another 2 candles after this one before we get a fractal possibility. But this one could trend with a candle like that. Volume starting to increase in the market as well. Here comes the finish of that Euro US dollar trade now. Does look like it is going to be a loss, but a very small loss for us. There's the close of the bullish fractal, so let's shut down our trade. Yeah, just $5.22 loss in the end. Not too problematic for us. Still $148 up. Good thing we got out of the trade when we did, but we are looking like we are going to get into another one just as shaky. The Euro US dollar again going overbought. No, it doesn't. It pulls back from there, so we don't see the signal come. You can see that that finished. What did it finish at? Let's close that down. 92.64, not enough to get us in. Very close there. That low certainly would have got us into a buy trade, and this is going to be a bit of a more volatile time. We see 3 o'clock turns over, New York Forex session opens, and also those German CPI numbers coming through. It's all going on. Now is the buy signal going to come on the Euro US dollar though? Quite a way until the last bearish fractal, all the way up the top there. Look at that right up there. So we've measured that out as 16 pips for the risk. We're on the Euro US dollar. We do get the signal, 0.36 lots. Let's buy the market. So we definitely got back in at a better position. This is where our buy trade was before. Now we're in another 7 or 8 pips down. And we can see CPI in Germany. This is what they wanted to see. These inflation numbers are negative 0.2% actual against negative 0.3% forecast. So they did put it a little bit more deflationary, but still nice at negative 0.2 after a 0.5% previous. Good to see that not run away. Bullish fractals about to form on the Euro US dollar pair, so we will close that down in just a couple seconds. Let's see where we land. There it is. And there we go. So another small loss, very similar to the last one actually. $5.04 on this one, $5.22 on the previous. The high of the last candle would have seen us into a bit of money, but we don't mind small losses as long as we're picking up a couple big winners like we have done today so far. Bit of a quiet period, but now we are getting a buy trade again on the Euro US dollar. This large candle here takes us in 0.73 lots, quite a bit of volume on it. Let's see how this one goes. That looks like a well-intentioned move. Hopefully we don't see back-to-back of those come. Here comes the double down on that trade. It's got high volume, 0.73, same as the first one, and we're about $90 down on the trade. If we're not careful, this trend is going to take away all of our gains. I want to see a big reversal back up, a retracement at least. Get us a bearish fractal. If we can get out around about this center zone, have these trades negate each other, that'd be a handy situation to find ourselves in. Don't want to see red candles keep pushing and tripling down, quadrupling down, but you can get a bit concerned on reversals when you know there's volume in the market. Look at how it's increased over the last hour or so, and volume does mean more potential for an actual move. We like that wishy-washy, choppy back and forth, the European session in the morning. Here comes the close of that Euro US dollar trade. Let's shut that down. We do have one winner, one loser there. It doesn't quite balance out. We lost around $40 overall. As you can see, that first one costing us $60 and that second one gaining us just the 20 back. Could have been a lot worse, that one. It does feel like that was giving back some money. Worth noting those Canadian dollar numbers that came in at 3:30 as well. It was about 45 minutes ago. Current account actual about $1.4 billion versus negative $1 billion roughly forecast. Good beat for them there. Quite a bit of a boost on the IPPI and the RMPI month on month though. Those price indices, the industrial production products, 1.3% actual against 0.3% forecast. Not as bad as the raw materials price index, so that was 4.8% actual against 0.1% forecast, so quite a boost on there. Don't want to see prices increase too much anywhere really, regardless of where that is. Whether it's the PPI, the IPPI, the RMPI, everybody would like to see them stay steady at the moment. Just gone 5:05 now, looking at the pending home sales numbers for the US dollar month on month. Really strong beat for them. The actual was 7.5% against a negative 3% forecast. Pretty good for the US dollar, but we really haven't seen much price move on the chart here. And not just because of the home sales. In general, we haven't seen a lot of movement at all. It's been quite rangy. The Williams percent range has been playing it down the middle. So not going to take any more signals for the day from the Euro US dollar. Going to close that chart down. And we'll just give it until the end of the period. We'll see if this signal comes on the pound yen. If we do get the signal, and that will be our last trade of the day. If we don't get the signal, then it's been the last trade of the day for us already, and we'll finish things up. And we don't get the signal, price pulls back from its low, so the Williams percent range pulls out of that oversold territory. We will then call it there for the day. Not going to hang around forever to see if the trade comes. We did partake in a few trades today, at 11 to be exact. That's not including where we doubled down and tripled down. Working well so far. Both charts were quite rangy today, though, particularly this pound yen we can see really did stick inside this area here. And that's what we like for it. We don't want a big trending day where we have to keep adding and adding and we're just picking up loser after loser. We want those rangy days where price just overextends itself one way or the other and we can jump in and capitalize on that. But since it's going so well, we certainly will be back tomorrow to trade another session of it. Here we are back again, just as we said we would be. It's about to roll over 20 past 10, so we will get a new candle on each of these charts. And look at the move on the Euro US dollar overnight. That's where we took our last trade down there. Got about 70 pips up since then. Not as much on the pound yen. Did have a big drop off there. And I mean, your first oversold signal would have been down here. It's got a way to go. So yeah, if you did make any money on any other signals, I likely would have been wiped from that move right there. What's our next setup? Well, both of these are lurking towards the overbought side. Williams percent range on the euro dollar around 21 and around about 22, 23 on the pound yen. So we'll watch for those, but let's check out our economic calendar. A lot of events going on today. Let's just check off some of the more interesting ones. Industrial production month on month in South Korea down at negative 3% actual against a negative 1.3% forecast. Not great there, but their retail sales did stay as forecast, down from a previous of 2.4, but they hit 0.2%. Japanese unemployment rate 2.7%, beat the previous of 2.8 and down on the forecast of 2.9. Pretty good unemployment rate, although they are trying to do some things in Japan to curb the overwork culture. That is one contributing factor to an aging population. So maybe an unemployment rate that low isn't actually that good. Maybe they could do with some people more engaging in recreational activities. They had a good industrial production month-on-month figure, 1.1% actual against negative 0.3% forecast and a negative 5.4% previous. So good beat there. Australia building approvals month-on-month down 12.9%, was forecast to be up 5.6%, so that is considerably less than expected. That's a miss. 3 a.m. from China, Purchasing Managers Index, Manufacturing and non-manufacturing both coming in pretty close to their forecast. Manufacturing PMI at 50.1 against 50.4 and non-manufacturing 52.3 against 53. That was the Tokyo session, and we've had some European numbers already. 9:45, plenty of figures coming out of France. CPI month on month, that's a big one. 0.4% actual against 0.2% forecast. I think they would have preferred the forecast at 0.2. 0.4, it's not majorly run away given the circumstances. They did have a 0.4% previous, so they'll want to keep it down. It's certainly not as good as Germany's deflationary figure yesterday. And France also with their quarterly GDP, 3% actual, 3% forecast. 3% previous. Although I'm also seeing now they actually had their PPI, the Producers Price Index, month on month come in. And even though I was sort of so-so on the 0.4%, here we go on the Producers Price Index, 2.9% actual. That's against a 1.2% forecast. And these PPI numbers, some of those extra costs do end up being absorbed in the CPI. So whether we're still to see big increases there, not sure on that. Let's go to the Swedish Economic Barometer. That came in around about 30 minutes ago at 10 o'clock. 108.5 actual against a 120 forecast. Even though it's a miss, it shouldn't worry them too much. What's coming out throughout the day? Unemployment rate from Germany in 25 minutes. GDP quarterly from Italy at 11 o'clock. And the CPI month on month from Italy as well, 12 o'clock. That's an hour and a half away. And that'd be an interesting figure to see. At the same time, we get CPI from the Eurozone as a whole. Italy CPI forecast at 0.2%. I think it's going to be higher. Mid-afternoon then, 3:30, plenty of Canadian dollar GDP numbers coming in. Monthly, quarterly, yearly, annualized quarterly. Then a few bits on the US dollar throughout the late afternoon. The House Price Index Composite 20 year on year. 4:45, Chicago Business Barometer. And then 5 o'clock, Fed Chair Powell testimony. A lot of people trade on what J. Powell says. Could be some volatility there. At the same time, we got the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index. Do you feel confident? Yeah, reasonably. And a few other speeches there until we drift to the end of the day, but shouldn't see much impact. I see Clarida's in there, that's at 8 o'clock from the Fed again. So yeah, if we see big swings in price, it'll be J Powell at 5 o'clock. But I don't think a lot of this is going to have an impact. Let's have a look at the charts. Let's see if we're getting any close to a signal. Well, potentially going to go overbought in the next few periods on the Euro US dollar if we see it continued buying there. But nothing that needs our immediate attention. A bit different to yesterday where we dived straight in on 2 trades. Came out okay though. Let's hope we get the good ones today. Hopefully this doesn't continue to trend too much. We prefer this rangy area. Hopefully we've missed that right there. And now we can get in on some whipsaw action. You can actually see over here, the Euro US dollar, that's drifted now into the overbought territory. So we might get a signal sooner than we think here. Let's try and catch that falling knife. So we are going to try and beat the trend here. It's measured that previous bullish fractal down there. It's about 18 pips, we'll call that. So you can see our risk calculated for this Euro US dollar trade where we are going to be selling off the market after this big green candle, 0.32 standard loss. There we go. Confirmation happens and we sell. We can see this has been a long ongoing uptrend where we would have had this situation a few times. This would have been the first. Would have been a sell trade there that got us out here. So a small loss there, 3 pips. Next up would have been here, and that would have been about even. You'd have lost the spread, I'd say, thereabouts. And finally, the last one, it would have been this one here. That's about a 5-6 pip loss. Overall, not as bad as it could be going against the trend. A couple small losses. Hopefully now, this time's a winner. Fingers crossed that we've nailed the timing. So we've just seen it reclose in the overbought territory there, 2 periods on. So we are doubling down already. It left there, it reclosed here. Let's get in there. Same risk again. We need this to go downhill quick in terms of price. Okay, why don't we make it interesting? We are tripling down now on the Euro US dollar. We can see it comes back into that area there. It's moved about 14 pips, 0.13% since we joined in. Candle is about to close now and we are going to shut down the trade. It is going to be a very poor loss. Let's get rid of those trades. That's where the bearish fractal forms. We can see that. I mean, this is a really good example of how it can go though. We've lost on the second and third trades as well. All 3 of those sub trades lost for a total of $125.44 down. We need a couple winners, couple quick winners to get back into it. This is very close on the signal. We're going to measure it out because it does look like it might come. That's 40 pips, so it's quite a reduced risk, and we do get the signal this time just for 0.14 standard loss. Quite glad that the bullish candle was all the way down here because, as I said, I do think the Euro's got more room to move. I know there was this bullish fractal here, but we don't count it if it's literally just formed. There was the same yesterday on a bearish fractal. It's going to end up too tight. So we go to the previous one that we can actually see when we're going to get into the trade. Getting a few of those losses back here doesn't seem like too much because the low volume, 0.14 standard lots, but $8.26, heck, we'll take it. It's been fairly quiet. We're almost at 1/4, and there could be two potential signals. We see the Euro US dollar in overbought territory once again. Pound yen had gone oversold. I don't know if that's going to stick. It doesn't, but it does stick on the Euro US dollar. We've measured that out to be 13 pips, and let's go with that. And it's another sell trade on the Euro US dollar, already pumping up a bit. At least we're at the top of the range. If it wants to stay in this price range, then we could be good. But if it's just consolidating, yeah, we're not going to enjoy the run that we see, I don't think. Who knows at the moment? We are not market movers. We cannot force the price to our whim, but we can catch up on some of these economic numbers that have been coming through. German unemployment rate, 5.3% now. It's down on the previous from 5.4 and the forecast 5.4. They were expected to gain 47,000 jobs. They only gained 34, but it's better than a loss. Italy's quarterly GDP figure, 2.6% actual, 2.6% forecast, 2.6% previous. Interesting. Unemployment rate at South Africa, that is very high, 34.9%. Struggling over there right now. It was 34.4 previous. They'd hoped it would get better up to around about 30%. That is not what has occurred though. Of course, they'll want to bring that down a lot. CPI month on month from Italy, yeah, it did come in hot, 0.7% actual against 0.2% forecast. Not much of a surprise there. And the CPI month on month from the Eurozone, that was 0.5% actual against the flat forecast 0.0%. So a miss there for Italy and a miss for the Eurozone. Core CPI in the Eurozone month on month, that was 0.1% against 0.5%. So possibly food and energy making up a portion of that CPI. But still not ideal figures when you've still got a year at least of no interest rates on the Eurozone. That's according to Christine Lagarde at least. Things can change, of course, in that length of time. Those are all the European numbers done, and nothing now really of interest for us until 3:30 when we get those Canadian GDP numbers. Our trade's going okay at the moment. A few dollars in profit, could still swing either way. We've seen a high in price form up there. So even if we got two lower highs now, could see us into profit, but it could be a loss as well. Could finish anywhere in this range. See how we do. Also, just want to say, look at how close this pound yen did come to a signal in the end. That was 94.63 on the Williams percentage range. Anywhere over 95, that would have been in. Here comes the close, and it does look like we are going to be taking back some more money in just a second. There we go. We see the fractal form, so we get out of dodge. $22.79. Still yet to get a signal on the pound yen all morning. It has been a while. In fact, we can see the last signal came. That was about 9:15. That would have been a nice one as well. You'd have made very good money there. Maybe we get another one of those. Pound yen, it doesn't seem to want to trend, and that's fine by us. But be a bit more volatile about it. Get into the oversold, the overbought, we don't mind which. Ask and you shall receive, though. We do get an oversold signal come through on the Great British Pound Japanese yen. We've measured that risk out as 22 pips. So let's jump in the trade at 0.29 lots. We are on the pound yen, and we are going to buy. Here comes the double down as the move continues. Buy signal is going to come through now on the Euro US dollar. We've measured that distance out there, calling it 18 pips. And so we can get in with 0.32 standard loss. Meanwhile, if this fractal can close over here, this bullish fractal, if price is anywhere in this region at all, we're looking at pretty nice. We're about $70 up on that pound yen trade at the moment. 4.5 minutes time. We'll know the conclusion of that. Hopefully it's as good as we're seeing it right now. And it does look like it's going to be pretty nice on the pound yen here. Just a couple seconds to go before the close. It does pull back a little bit. That's fine. Let's shut them off. And between them there, just over $55. Really nice move on the pound yen. Now only $39.16 down for the day. Price barely moved, but we are going to double down on this Euro US dollar trade. Let's buy in. Same volume again. Do prefer to see an actual move downwards rather than getting in pretty much the exact same price. But hey, if we do get that reversal, a few candles like this, more profits for us. Okay, about to triple down on this Euro US dollar trade now. Things are about to get interesting. At 2:10, just a few seconds time, it does look like we're going to be closing off this Euro US dollar trade. Quite a bad loss in the end. Would have liked to see it bump. Yeah, we see the bullish fractal form, so let's shut it down. That was about a $76 loss. Red candles kept on forming. It looks more set for a drop, and that's why it could have been worse. But at the same time, we could have done with a retracement, and that's how it could have been better. And it does look like the Euro US dollar could go oversold again, so we might find ourselves back in a buy trade. Also, on the Great British Pound Japanese yen pair, we did actually miss a trade right over here. Should have been a sell trade there. I think we missed it because we were adding risk over here. That was the same time. Yeah, 150 and 150. So yeah, this should have been a sell trade, and in fact it would have closed out there from that fractal, so that would have been a loss. Missing the signal saved us there. That would have been a 5 pip plus a couple 7 pips. Wouldn't have been too much volume because that fractal is quite far from the candle close, but still it should have been a small loss. Don't quite get that buy trade. That was ever so close. 94.67 just pulled up at the last second. We are not missing out this time on the Great British Pound Japanese Yen. We are going to get in with a buy trade when we see the close, which is now 0.2 lots. Let's buy the market. I got a feeling we'll be doubling down on this one. Double whammy coming up here. When we close a window, we are opening a door. Here goes our Great British Pound Japanese Yen trade. Shut that down. Meanwhile, we are entering a trade, a sell trade on the Euro US dollar, 0.28 lots. Check the risk. Here we go. $6.38 was what we got out of the pound yen. Certainly better than a loss. And we're about $7 from profitability. Let's see if this Euro US one can get us there. And maybe we'll get back in on the pound yen if it closes like this as well. Immediately back into oversold territory. See how that goes. We do get that buy signal on the Great British Pound Japanese Yen. That is 0.30 lots. Let's buy it. We've already seen it come up a bit in the few seconds since the candle turned. And it's a bit of a weird one because we're seeing a bullish fractal here form. So we could well be closing out at the end of this candle if it doesn't make a new low. Let's hope it does jump into a bit of profit. And it is going to be a trade close, hopefully for a small amount of money if we can hang on. We do. So let's close that down. $6.11. We made $6.38 on the previous one and $6.11 here. This is what we like, making money in the range. Churn that price up. $105 down for the day. Only $1 down for the strategy as a whole. And we've still got our Euro US dollar trade going. This could do the job for us. So here we go. Let's double down on our Euro US dollar trade. Selling that market off. This is where we'll be closing out the trade. That's the close of the bearish fractal. And we lost about $10 there in the end. Did get some back with the second trade, $7.84 from that one, but wasn't enough to get back all the losses from the first trade at $17.36. Not too big of a loss though, so not particularly worried about that. Some of these trades do come down to the last few seconds. If it shot down to the low, well, we would have made money. And if it had retraced back up to this high or even a little bit further, it would have been a detrimental loss. Swings and roundabouts maybe. Just after 4:30, neither of these charts getting close to a signal. Both the Williams percent ranges playing it down the center. We know those signals can sneak up fast though. Economic numbers, GDP for Canada, month on month 0.1% actual against 0.1% previous. Quarterly 1.3% actual against 2.3% forecast. And yearly 3.4% against 4.4%. Overall, not great. I don't think it's going to cause any major moves in the market though. Certainly not for the currencies we're trading on. Also at 4 o'clock, we have the S&P House Price Index Composite 20 year on year, 19.1% as forecast. A lot of people struggle to get on that market, and it's a big worry for people. Wage growth versus house prices, not been on a good trajectory. Out of nowhere comes a sell signal on the Euro US dollar. Going to call that 14 pips, and we are going to get into the trade here. 0.40 standard lots, sell it off. Do get an overbought signal here on the pound yen. Let's get in there, 0.17 lots, that's our volume. And again, a very quick run up on price there. And the Williams percent range really does extend when it closes. When the candle closes at the high, the Williams percent range, it'll push that. Meanwhile, hopefully in a few minutes time, we get the close of this Euro US dollar. It's in a little bit of profit at the moment. Don't want to see it come up too much, but I can't see this fractal high being beaten. We have the Chicago Business Barometer at 4:45, 61.8 against a forecast of 66.8 and a previous of 68.4. Not great. Businesses are not feeling as good about it. And 5 o'clock, we have the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index, 109.5 actual against 111.6 forecast and previous. So consumers are a little less confident too, but it shouldn't be majorly damaging to the currency. All right, let's close down the Euro US dollar. Booking a minimal win from that. A minimal win is not a bad trade though. $5.20 for us. And we won't be taking any more signals from the Euro US dollar. We will let our trade play out on the Great British Pound and Japanese Yen to finish off the day. Need to be able to make at least $5.56 from it to get into profit overall for the strategy. I think being $109.39 down for the day, it will struggle to get us back into profit for the day, but we would like to see ourselves be up on the whole. The close of the bearish fractal is now, and we are going to be shutting off our trade for for a good chunk of profit. Don't climb too much. There we go. $20.82. That means for the day, $88.57 down. That's not the best, but we can focus in on the net profits. $15.27. Didn't wipe out all of our gains from yesterday. So I think we can take that as a positive. Mix of trades today though. We saw this trending move right at the start of the day. That cost us some money, but we did manage to get some of that back throughout the day. And we finished not too bad. Again, pound yen, a much better pair. The euro dollar had this weird, it did range, but it did it in like a half trend fashion rather than a whipsaw fashion. We want the up, down, up, down, up, down, not the steadily down and then the steadily back up. That V shape's no good for us. We will be trading the strategy again tomorrow. Almost 20 to 11, back for session 3, and it will be our final session. So let's hope the Williams & Williams strategy can prove itself to be profitable. Pretty wacky morning actually, both these charts. Let's start with the Euro US dollar. You would have actually got the oversold signal right there. So you would have entered there, closed at the formation of this bullish fractal. So at the top there, that is a very nice move. What a snap move there, 34 pips. In fact, they just had an oversold reading again. It's been coming down since that spike. Now to even lower than it was before that spike came. And yeah, there's that oversold signal there. Yet to see how that's going to finish. Could see another green candle come and get a bit of profit out of it like that. Great British pound, Japanese yen. That's a bit of a mess. This would have been one entry position here. And you would have got it there. So that's pretty bad. So that's 19 pips you're losing. You would have put another one in here. And that would have been 2 pips. And another one here that you're waiting for the end of, which you would have doubled down on right there. If it keeps going like that, well, you should win that money back. So pretty mixed at the moment on these charts. So don't know exactly how well we'd be doing financially. Probably kind of close. It can often be decided on fine margins. If we got this entry here, but all of this came in the first 10 seconds, we'd probably miss all that. There's a lot of events on the economic calendar, but I'm going to skip over many of them by just saying that every major currency seems to have a manufacturing purchasing managers index coming out today. So we've already had Japan, Korea, China. All the results are on screen if you want to check them out. Otherwise, at 2:30 a.m. we had GDP quarterly from Australia, negative 1.9 against a 0.6% forecast. That's a miss for them. Keeps their yearly down at 3.9 against the forecast of 6.4. Retail sales from Germany at 9 o'clock, month on month. They'd forecast negative 6, wasn't that bad, at negative 0.3. Nationwide house price index month on month from the Great British Pound. How are they doing over there? 0.9% on the month on month against 0.7% forecast, and it puts the yearly at 10%. 10% increase on the average house price over the last year. Very good. CPI month on month from Switzerland, they are keeping it down at 0.0%, and the previous was 0.3, so not too bad there either. 315, finally a number with some gumption. The automatic data processing ADP and non-farm employment change. Monthly employment report that front runs the non-farm payroll from the Bureau of Labor Statistics this Friday. So that's got potential to move the dollar. And Fed Chair Powell's up again. Transitory inflation no longer a thing, so perhaps he'll be giving more details on what the Fed plans to do about that. So that's the big stuff from a lot of events today, and the biggest of the big, as we said, ADP non-farm employment change at 3:15, and the 5 o'clock testimony from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Nothing for us to worry about for a while. And now we're waiting for an overbought or oversold signal from the Williams percent range. And we're happy to jump on any of the continuations. So here, for example, Euro US dollar, even if a bullish fractal doesn't form and the Williams percent range goes back into the oversold territory, we'll jump in at that part. That is fine. Pound yen, that would have seen the close of the trade. So you gained about 14 pips back on that one. And another 4 or 5 there. So on the pound yen, you would be down, I would imagine, but not by too much now. That's getting you back. Sell signal comes through at the last second, I think. Let's check that. Yeah, negative 4.09. So we're in the overbought territory. You can see we measured it out from here up there. We've called that 45 pips. And so we'll sell off the market for 0.14 standard lots. About to close down this trade on the pound Japanese yen. Going to be for a small loss by the look of it. Yeah, let's shut that down. That's $10.61 lost. Because it made this high right up here in price. This is what you can find with the fractals sometimes. Price will make a very big high quite away from your entry price. That's about a 13 pip difference there. And so that then means that there's around about 13 pips worth of space in this instance where you can still end up being a loser despite getting that bearish fractal and shutting it down. If we were an idealist, of course, as soon as we entered, that would be the high in price. the fractal would form above our entry candle and we'd immediately see it run down. The bigger the high, the more trouble you can end up in. If price ran all the way up to here and this was the high, suddenly then you've got about 30-35 pip region where you're going to end up in loss. Nothing major though, $10.61. We can certainly come back from that. Helped out by the fact this fractal here, price extended to such a low that it really was out there, this bullish fractal. Because we had such a cushion on the distance between there and where we entered, it did keep our volume very low, the lowest we've had for a Great British Pound Japanese Yen trade. Both the currency pairs lurking around that overbought territory, but as we've seen, things can change very quickly on this oscillator. Could hold out for a sell signal now on the Euro US dollar, just a couple of seconds until that turns over. Price continuing to push. Don't know if this is going to be a trend or not. We do get the signal. Let's jump in. Quite a few lots this time, and that is because we saw this bullish fractal here form. So we measured it out to about 12 pips. That's there. It pushed a little bit after we measured it. But we have seen strong reversals like this happen in the very near past. So I think this one's got a chance. Again, we don't want to see this candle here or the next one or any of them go too high. Not without getting a double down. If you get a double down off a high, then it's kind of fine because you're backed up with that new trade. But it's when it makes a high, it retreats off there, it goes out of the overbought territory, and you're left with this big gap here. You can't get any more trades to break it, so you can end up just taking a hefty loss on the one trade. 25 past 12 coming through, and we are about to get a pretty nice close on this Euro US dollar trade. There it is, so let's shut it down. And we also get a buy signal over here on the pound yen, and that's gone into oversold territory, 99.27. So let's jump into that one quick. That'll be 0.31 lots. We'll buy the market here. Hasn't come down dramatically, it's been steadily declining. So hopefully it's not ready for a drop. We have been able to mostly trust the pound yen to stay in a range. Hopefully that's going to continue here. Let's take a gander at that Euro US dollar trade though. There it is, $41.36. Really nice. Thought it might struggle when we saw the high come on this candle after we entered, but it retreated from there and got better and better with the next two candles. Close now for that pound Japanese yen trade. It does seem as though it's going to be a touch of profit for us. Yeah, let's shut it off. $8.47. Excellent. Puts us nearly $40 up for the day. Another winning trade to book. Getting another buy signal here on the pound yen. They do sneak up on you. They really do. Sneak attack from the pound yen. So let's get in here with 0.41, buying the market. And we're at a better price than our last buy trade on there. So maybe we get the same again. A bit of a bounce back. That's what we're after. Small profits, big profits. We'll take it all. It's another close for another win here on the pound Japanese yen at 5 past 1. There it goes. $33.98. Happy with that. $73 up for the day. It's been quiet for just over the last hour, and now it's threatening two signals at the same time, both looking at buy trades. Any of them going to stick? And we do we get a signal? 94.5, so the signal doesn't come. No signals on either. Wow, that was close. Flip a coin on some of these trades. That came down to the wire. Might be getting a signal here on the Euro US dollar. Let's see if it holds. It does seem like it's going to, and it does, so we are in. That is 0.41 standard lots. And we'll buy it. It's already bounced up quite a bit. This is what happens when you're back testing stuff and you look at it and you go, well, the signal came there, so I would have got in there. Not always guaranteed, even when you only get in 8 seconds after the open of the candle. Either way though, it is nice to be in a trade. It's been almost 2 hours since our last one. Not used to that with these charts. This strategy does seem to get you in pretty quick usually. And it's just under 15 minutes until we get those ADP and non-farm jobs numbers. Well, that could bring some added volatility with it. New York Forex session getting into swing now. Yeah, going to be closing it already here, the Euro US dollar trade, so shut it down. Small loss again, not too worried about small losses. No, not too bad for us, $7.38. And now suddenly a buy signal coming through on the Great British Pound Japanese Yen. Let's dive in on the nose this time. And that is a heck of a spread. That whole last candle destroyed by the spread. Why? Why was that so big? 3 pips, 4 pips? Not ideal. Should be a lot of liquidity in the market right now. This is peak trading time, so we can see the volatility increase over on the Euro US dollar as those ADP and non-farm payroll numbers come through. And the ADP and non-farm employment change is quite promising. 534,000 actual. Although I never understand with the forecast, it says here negative 366,000. You look on any news website, any source, anywhere, that is not the forecast. Those are not the estimates. And it's always with the jobs numbers for some reason on MetaTrader. It's always wildly incorrect. So if you look at this, you're like, wow, they beat the forecast by 800,000. No, it was forecast at around about 500,000, so they did beat the forecast, and it is a nice beat, but not like this is implying. At least they do get the actual correct. That's the one we're most interested in. Sell signal potential here. Is that going to hold on the euro US dollar? It does. Let's sell off the market. Those are fine margins there. You see the Williams percent range flickering in and out of the overbought territory. Tense stuff. Adds to the drama. Doubling down on the euro US dollar. Here we go. Sell it off again. It's our first double down of the day actually. It had more on the last two sessions. Lacking in them today. Glad we get to see at least one. Maybe more to come. Still waiting for the resolution of our pound yen trade. Not going so good for us. About $20 down. Exiting the pound yen trade now. Could have been a lot worse. Stretched down to that low, but it could have been better. We do face a loss. $22.53. Now closing down at the euro US dollar. Get it shut. Bit of a minor loss, I think, overall. Yeah, $4.76. Again, not too worried about small losses like that. Doubling down certainly helped us out. We don't want too many small losses, though. I know I say I don't mind them, but if they keep coming, we do need small wins to try and sort of negate each other. Back in on the euro US dollar just about 10 minutes after, selling again. And you can see we got out of our last trade quite a nice position, because as soon as we closed it, the next two candles, whoosh, rocket up, and now we're back in again. Maybe we've timed it right this time around. We get the bearish fractal we dreamed of, so we will shut down our euro US dollar trade now. And that's exactly what we were talking about, $5.32. Getting a small win does help brush off the small loss from before, and maybe we get in at a higher price with the euro US dollar again. It is hovering in that overbought territory, and we are getting the sell signal again. Just one period later, it has shot up, and this is a bit cuckoo, but let's get in. Higher volume as well because of this bullish fractal down here, tightening things up. Hopefully the run upwards is over by now. Thank goodness for these retracements. Otherwise this would be going really bad. Thought we were going to get a double down there on the euro US dollar. We don't, but we do get an oversold signal on the Great British Pound Japanese yen. Let's measure that out, 43 pips. So we can hop into a buy trade at 0.15 lots. Again, if you think you're going to get in right at the bottom, doesn't always happen like that. We see the jump, and the signal came in the last 2 seconds of the candle. Feels very unreliable the way it comes down to just a couple ticks of price right at the very last second. Not good for trying to maintain good consistency. Now we're going to get the double down. It's been flickering in and out of the overbought territory. 1 second left. It is going to be there, so we can sell off once again at euro US dollar. Same risk. Seems like it's going to be a loss on the Great British Pound Japanese yen as we shut that down. It is a very small loss, but we want those very small wins. $4.12 lost. Could have gone a lot worse though. If we'd seen another candle run like that in either of these candles, don't think we'd be too happy about that. Especially if it pulled off the low and didn't give us a chance to double down. Well, we're out of it for now, but in a few minutes it looks like we could be back in. This is a lot of trading. And we do get the re-entry signal on the Great British Pound Japanese yen. You can see it there, 95.64. This market is crazy with our strategy right now. This is trade number 7 since 3 o'clock, 9 if you include the double downs. If they're winners, then obviously it's fine. But jumping in our trades every couple periods, it's a recipe for a lot of small losses, as we've been seeing. Maybe it's time for the turn. As we hit 5 o'clock, we are doubling down on the pound Japanese yen trade, just gone into oversold territory again. So let's buy the market once more. Meanwhile, we are shutting down our euro US dollar trade. Quite a bad loss in the end there. Yeah, really poor, just shy of $64 total. And it does put us $24 down for the day. Here we go, period after, closing off our pound yen trade for a small win. Pretty nice there. $10.50 to take home from it as a total. Puts us $13.73 down for the day. But that is our last trade, and we do finish the strategy as a whole in profit. That is correct. After 3 days of trading, we got 32 trades, and we are in profit by $1.54. Absolutely fantastic. If you lever that up times 1,000 times 10,000, well, maybe there's profits to be had. And this was a really wacky afternoon. We did close down a Great British Pound Japanese yen trade at 1:05. Didn't think we were going to get many signals when it was coming up to 3 o'clock. That was a quiet period, almost 2 hours without a trade. And between 3 o'clock and finishing now, 7 trades. Constantly relying on these retracements. In this last one, we got caught out and price keeps going up. Also looks like we might have got out on the Great British Pound Japanese yen in a good position as well. Pretty lucky to finish in profit, I think. Some of these trends could be a lot worse for you. We were lucky to get out on these retracements. We were lucky that this candle didn't go overbought. What was the Williams percentage range there? 93.33. If we'd have been there, that's a 20 pip drop straight off the bat. But fortune does favor the fortunate, and once again, $1.54 profit for us, 3 days. That's just over 50 cents a day average. Before we get another signal on the charts and want to jump into that, let's go look at all our trades over in the journal. What a day, what a strategy. The first day was definitely our nicest. You see a field of green here, 11 trades on day one, a lot more winners than losers. It was only towards the end we lost about $40 on that Euro US dollar. And then when we stepped back on, the Euro US dollar again on day two, that put it against us then. That was getting much more close to the kind of trends that we fear with this strategy. And then we managed to get some small losses back before taking another hit on the Euro US dollar. And then again, clawing some back as we went through to the end of the day. But that day two, those two losing trends against us, they did reverse the gains that we got on day one, put us only about $15 up thereabouts. So it wasn't looking good coming into day three. And then we hit a few strong ones this morning. Suddenly it looked like guaranteed profitability for us. And then at 1:05, the quiet before the storm came. And when 3 o'clock hit, it was trades aplenty. 3 o'clock, 10 past 3, 25 past, you can see this carries onward. Mostly losses. You can see green, but all of this green was under $10. So no real big winners. And most of these losses were bigger than those gains. $52 there, $22. That pound yen trade right at the very end managed to save us. In fact, the trades were $4.94 up. We did have that error that put us $3.40 down, so meaning $1.54 overall. Got to count the error. 32 trades in 3 days. Just over 10 trades a day on 2 charts. And so we started on $5,668.65 and finished on $5,670.19. That is the journal. Let's just give our final thoughts on the strategy. We wanted the price to range with this strategy, and we did get some of those ranges. It was a bit of a mix, but I do think we had some good luck in not going up against a real trend that put the boots into us. Even on the half trends that came up against us, there was a couple where we were saved by getting out on minor retracements for a small loss. Those trades could have easily left us a lot worse off. The fact that the strategy is in profit is only really symbolic. I think on the whole, trading longer and longer with the strategy, you'd eventually end in a loss rather than profit because of a catastrophic trending loss going against you. And even though that would probably be the ultimate outcome, it is clear too that the strategy shouldn't take a nosedive. There are plenty of wins in there to be pleased with. But those entry signals, they do come along pretty regular. Both of our charts saw a handful of trades in every single session, so I would say it's a lock that you can jump onto any single currency pair, and it's more than likely that you will end up in a trade sooner rather than later. If you were trading all of the 28 major and minor currency pairs, maybe even throwing in a few of those exotics, that's a lot of signals on the 5-minute time frame, and so I would say at a minimum to add a filter to the strategy and probably lower your risk as well. The entries also seemingly come out of nowhere. You take your eye off the chart for a candle or two thinking that the indicator is laying low, and before you know it you suddenly find that a trade is due. Part of that is how the Williams percent range indicator extends a lot further if the closing price is the high or the low. So for example, the indicator can be overbought, price moves to a new high, then pulls back to the previous price, but this time it's not overbought because that price as a close is not near enough to the high. And that combination of the Williams percent range and the 5-minute time frame also leads to trade entries and exits often happening on a knife's edge. It is basically down to a coin flip in the final few seconds of the candle as to whether you are actually going to be taking action or not. We use the traditional 14-period input and much more extreme levels than typical for determining the overbought, oversold regions, but still with 5-minute candles it didn't make me feel that the signals came with a heavy conviction about the move, and sometimes those fine margins can make a big swing in the overall profit-loss ratio. That also means you've got to be committed to keeping your eyes glued on those price charts too. Can't go away and come back a day later or a week later. You've got to be there every 5 minutes the signal could come. The strategy, it did finish technically in profit though, so if that does make you feel compelled to trade it, then that is your instinct. That's everything from the Williams & Williams strategy, brought to you by Larry and Bill. If you do want more information on either the indicators or the strategy, you can find some of that in the video description. And don't forget, unless otherwise specified, all of these strategies are traded with demo money. Why risk money on something we've never even traded before? I don't know it. Why am I going to trust it? Thank you for watching. This is Project Trade. I am the spiritual elder of the ancient charts, and there will be more.